Higher History Essay Writing, How to Write a Paragraph. So this video will give you step-by-step instructions how to write your first paragraph. So I would suggest that you watch the video through once and then you go through it again to write your paragraph. So our learning aim for today is to develop our higher history essay writing skills. And if I am successful, I know how to structure a paragraph in a higher history essay, and I can write my own paragraph on the suffragette campaign using this criteria. In terms of the skills that we'll be focusing on is, again, thinking about how we'll go about this task. Higher history essays are always structured in the same way, even though the content and the knowledge is different. So again, it's about planning and organisation. How do you organise your essay? Communication will be key. If at any point you're not sure, you should speak to me. And practical application, because again we'll be applying this skill over and over again throughout the higher history course. So just so you can see the essay mark breakdown, okay, essays are out of 22 marks, and by this point you should have written your introduction, which is 3 marks. You then get 6 marks for knowledge, 6 marks for analysis, and this is broken down to 3 basic analysis, and then you can get 3 or more for your analysis plus. So what I mean by 3 or more for analysis plus is you can only get a maximum of 3 marks for basic analysis, but if you do more than 3 points of analysis plus, you can pick up those marks, but you'll get no more than 6 in total for analysis. Evaluation is 4 marks, and then conclusions are 3 marks. Okay, so that's the breakdown of the essays. When we are writing a paragraph or paragraphs in our essay, this is where you pick up the marks for knowledge, analysis and evaluation. Okay, so today we're just going to focus on the knowledge and analysis, and then we'll come back to evaluation at a later date. So this is what's really important, okay? When it comes to structuring a paragraph in your essay, it should follow really these 8 steps, okay? You first start off with a topic sentence. You then bring in a knowledge point. You then analyse the knowledge point. You say why it's important. You then bring in analysis plus, which is a counter argument, or we also call it a limitation, or if you can show a relationship between factors, and this is only if you can, okay? You won't always be able to bring in analysis plus every time you make a knowledge point and analyse it, okay? Once you've done that, you then repeat that process. You bring in, if you can, a second knowledge point, analyse it, analysis plus if you can, and then you always finish off a paragraph with evaluation. So that's like a mini conclusion. The easiest way, and over the years, what I've taught pupils is in remembering how to structure a paragraph. You remember the sort of phrase KKE, okay? Knowledge, analysis, and you finish with your evaluation. For the purpose of today's session, as I said, okay, we're only going to be focusing on KAKA though, okay? I'm going to come back probably in the next session to cover evaluation, which we can then add to the paragraph that you'll be writing, but I just want us to focus on KAKA, okay? Knowledge and analysis today. So going back to our first part or point when we're writing a paragraph, is we always start off with a topic sentence, okay? And it is important, you don't get a mark for a topic sentence, but it is important that you have it there because it makes clear to the marker what factor the paragraph is on. Okay, so here's some examples of topic sentences you could use. Now remember, our essay question that we're focusing on is to what extent was the suffragette campaign the main reason why some women were given the vote in 1918. Now because the factor in our essay question is the suffragette campaign, then that will always be our first paragraph, okay? If there's an isolated factor in an essay question, whether you think it's the most important factor or not, it is always the first paragraph in your essay. Okay, so for that reason, okay, you might want to start off your paragraph by saying the suffragette campaign is the most important reason why some women were given the vote in 1918. And you could use that topic sentence if you are going to be arguing that the suffragettes is the main reason why some women were given the vote. If you don't think they're the most important reason, then you might want to use this topic sentence here. The suffragettes were a key reason why some women won the vote in 1918. And again, you just keep it simple, okay? You refer to the factor and then relate it back to the question. So when you move on to your other paragraphs, if you might be, when you move on to women's war work, you could say women's war work in the First World War was vital to some women being given the vote in 1918. Other examples, changing attitudes towards women in society is the most important reason why some women were given the vote in 1918. The suffragists were also important in understanding why some women were given the vote in 1918. Just keep it simple, but make sure it clearly states what factor the paragraph's going to be on. Okay, so now you've written your topic sentence, we move on to our first K, which is knowledge, and we're looking for a relevant, detailed knowledge point. Okay, so here's an example. The suffragettes were led by Emmeline Pankhurst, who believed that direct action was needed. Their motto was deeds not words. They would engage in militant activities such as chaining themselves to railings, smashing windows, attacking politicians and setting fires. Okay, by writing that detailed knowledge point, that would get you 1 mark. And you can use this in your paragraph. Now that we've written our knowledge point, we need to analyse it, okay? We need to say why it was important. Okay, and this is what Mrs. Rind explained in the video that you watched beforehand on how to bring an analysis into your essay writing. So I would then say this was important, and there is sentence starters for analysis, which I'll bring up in a couple of slides, but again, a sort of basic or standard way to always start your analysis is with this was important because, or this was important in helping some women achieve the vote because their tactics gained publicity and made the cause of votes for women a national issue that the government could no longer ignore. Okay, this is analysis and this would get you 1 mark. And again, you can use this example in your paragraph. Okay, we now move on to analysis plus if we do have analysis plus to bring in. So remember, analysis plus is a counter argument, or sometimes what we also say is a limitation. So saying why sort of something isn't important. But you can also pick up analysis plus marks for showing relationships or links between 2 different factors, which I'll explain more. And as we do more and more essay writing, we'll get the hang of. So I've got here, however, whilst these tactics gained publicity, it was negative publicity. These women were reported as irrational and too irresponsible to be given the vote. The government would also never give in to the violence of their cause and give women the vote. Okay, that would get you 1 mark, and again you can use this example in your paragraph. Okay, so we've covered the first K. And because the suffragettes is a big factor, we can then bring in a second K, a second knowledge analysis, and if possible analysis plus. So I'm only going to give you suggestions here because I really want you to finish the second half of the paragraph by yourself. Okay, so your next knowledge point could focus on the hunger strikes and the Cat and Mouse Act. So describing when women were arrested, what they were doing in prison, how the government tried to address that. Once you've then written down your knowledge point, you need to analyse it, okay? You're stating why was this point important in understanding why some women gained the vote in 1918. So these are sentence starters for your analysis, okay? So again, this led to some women gaining the vote in 1918 because by going on hunger strike and being force-fed by the government, it gained a lot of women and suffragettes sympathy, as it was seen as a form of torture. It gained sympathy for their cause. Again, that's sort of wording that you'd want to bring in. Other sort of sentence starters for your analysis could be this was important because, this is significant because, this caused a change, or this led to women gaining the vote because the effects of this was that. Okay, again, your sort of basic one I would say is this was important because, to bring in your analysis. Then if you can, after you've analysed, can you bring in any analysis plus? So again, here I might say, however, again, it was just further evidence by the suffragettes going on hunger strike and having to be force fed that they were too irrational or irresponsible to be given the vote. Again, these were really extreme methods that they were willing to go to. They were willing to basically lose their lives for their cause, as highlighted by Emily Davison in the 1913 Derby, where she threw herself in front of the King's horse and lost her life in the name of Votes for Women. So again, while these actions to an extent gained sympathy, they also didn't really help the cause, for the fact that it just added to the perception that women were too irrational, irresponsible to be given the vote. So that would be a counter argument that you could bring in. Or you could also mention that because of these sort of extreme actions and the negative publicity that the suffragettes were gaining as a result of the hunger strikes, Emily Davison throwing herself in front of the King's horse, that really led a lot of suffragettes to leave the WSPU and rejoin the suffragists. Okay, now we know that the suffragist campaign was very slow, but they were winning MPs on side, and MPs, if they were going to take any sort of action, it'd be on the basis of the lobbying that the suffragists had done, because they could support a peaceful group. Okay, they weren't going to support a group that promoted violence for their cause. So if you were to mention that sort of point, that's still analysis plus, but it's not a counter argument. It's what we call linking to another factor or showing a relationship with another factor. Okay, so bearing in mind, okay, I said this at the start, I probably should have had this slide a bit further to the beginning of the presentation, but remember, our essay question is, to what extent was the suffragette campaign the main reason some women were given the vote in 1918? Okay, so I've underlined the suffragette campaign because, as I've said, that is our isolated factor, so that's why it'll be our first paragraph. Our second paragraph will then be the one that you're arguing, or we're arguing, is the most important. So I know a lot of you are saying that changing attitudes towards women in society is the most important, so that would then be your second paragraph. Okay, so your task, what I would like you to do is, I'd like to write and submit your paragraph on the suffragettes and then upload it to assignment, so again I can mark it and give you feedback. I don't want it to be on a brand new Word document, okay, I just want you to add it to the Word document with your introduction, okay, so I'll then be able to see your introduction, which will be marked, and then you'll add this paragraph. So like what I said at the start, what I suggest you do is you replay this video, and you can use the examples I've given, okay? Use the knowledge, the analysis, and the analysis plus example I've given in this video, and then use my suggestions to do your second CA, okay? And then next session, what I'll look at is, again, I'll look at creating a video to show you how to bring in evaluation or do evaluation, and we can then add that to the suffragette paragraph. So again, just bear in mind what we're trying to achieve here, that if we have been successful, okay, you'll know the structure to write a paragraph in a higher history essay. So remember, that's our KKE, okay? Just like for the introductions, we remember, right, the criteria is background, line of argument, factors. For paragraphs, remember this KKE. And now what I would like you to do is, using this structure, I want you to write your own paragraph on the suffragette campaign. Thank you.